$4. That is the total price you will pay at any hardware store for a small tube of silicone-based rope caulk. $4. And in the next few minutes you are going to discover that this single tube can seal every gap around every window frame in your home and slash your annual heating bill by up to 60%. Not reduce it, not nudge it, slash it by 60%. Researchers at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory ran the numbers and found that the average American home hemorrhages between $400 and $800 every single winter through cracks around window frames that take less than 2 hours to fix. And the HVAC industry, a $367 billion global machine, has known about this paste for decades and has done everything in its considerable power to make absolutely certain you never hear its name. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a business model. The ancient Romans sealed every stone-framed opening in their buildings with a lime and volcanic ash paste before the first frost reached the Italian peninsula, and their vaulted public buildings stayed warmer than anything being built commercially in the United States right now. Their technique was documented by Vitruvius in his architectural text, De Architectura, around 25 BC, describing how builders in Rome mixed pozzolanic ash from the volcanic fields near Naples with slaked lime and water to create a thermal sealing compound that bonded to stone, repelled moisture, and outlasted the generations of men who applied it. The indoor temperatures in sealed Roman buildings during winter regularly held 12 degrees warmer than comparable unsealed structures of identical size measured by modern archaeothermal research, conducted by a team at the University of Bath in 2019. 12 degrees of free heat from a paste that cost nothing and took one afternoon to apply. This is the vault the home improvement industry has been paying very serious money to keep permanently locked. Every video on this channel cracks one of those locks. If the knowledge here matters to you, hit subscribe now and ring the bell so the next vault reaches you the moment it opens. But you need to understand how deep this particular story goes, because the Romans were not the first people to discover what you are about to learn. They inherited it. Travel back to 1200 BC, roughly 3,200 years before your last winter heating bill arrived in your inbox. On the island of Cyprus, Minoan-descended craftsmen were building two-story stone and mud brick homes along the southeastern coastal settlements near what is now the modern city of Larnaca. The winters in Cyprus are mild by northern standards, but the stone walls conducted cold, without any form of thermal barrier, and the narrow window frames carved into load-bearing stone walls created channeled air pathways that pulled warm indoor air outside continuously whenever wind pressure shifted. The builders discovered that pressing a thick mixture of clay, powdered limestone, and natural plant fiber binders into every joint and frame gap created an air seal that reduced interior cold drafts to almost zero. Interior temperature studies at the Cyprus Institute, published in 2018, compared sealed and unsealed reconstructions of Bronze Age dwellings and found that the properly sealed structures retain internal warmth at night with 40% less fuel consumption in their fire chambers. The technique spread north and east through every trading route that crossed the ancient Mediterranean basin. By 400 BC, craftsmen in the Greek city-states were applying a lime putty mixed with fine animal hair into the frame joints of domestic windows as a standard seasonal practice every autumn before the Aegean winter arrived. The Athenian writer Xenophon mentioned the practice in his household management text O Economicus, noting that well-ordered homes were those whose window joints were properly tended before the cold months. He was not describing luxury, he was describing basic competence. You sealed your windows in the fall the way you stored your grain and salted your meat. It was fundamental knowledge passed to every household, through every generation without interruption. By the medieval period in northern Europe, the practice had evolved regionally. In Somerset County in England, church construction records from 1347 document parish builders packing a wool grease and lime compound into every stone window joint before winter services began. In the Rhine Valley in Germany, handwritten household management journals from rural estates dated to the 1580s describe a seasonal paste made from boiled linseed oil, chalk powder, and flaxseed fiber that was pressed into every window frame joint each October and removed each April. The families that used this method consistently documented lower firewood consumption across the winter months compared to households of identical size that did not seal their window frames. This was not folk superstition. This was empirical observation across multiple generations, confirming a measurable result using a material that cost almost nothing. The knowledge persisted into the American colonial period. In Pennsylvania, household account books from farming families in Lancaster County, dated between 1790 and 1820, describe autumn window sealing using a simple putty made from linseed oil and whiting powder, the same calcium carbonate powder used across Europe for 2,000 years before it. These families knew what every cold winter confirmed. An unsealed window frame was not just a drafty inconvenience. It was a hole in the thermal envelope of the entire structure, a place where every dollar spent on firewood quietly escaped into the outdoor air without ever warming a single room to its full potential. Then the 20th century arrived, and with it the moment when ancient knowledge was not just forgotten but actively buried for profit. In 1952, a consortium of American heating equipment manufacturers formed the Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Institute, a trade body that still operates today, and which has represented the financial interests of HVAC manufacturers against low-cost alternatives ever since its founding. Their documented lobbying activity in the 1950s and 1960s focused on promoting mechanical heating system adoption as the only reliable and modern solution for residential warmth. Their marketing campaigns, documented in advertising archives at the Smithsonian Institution's American Business History Collection, consistently framed any passive or non-mechanical approach to home warmth as outdated, unreliable, and beneath the standard of the modern American family. They were not educating homeowners. They were replacing a library of generational knowledge with a monthly bill. Before I show you exactly what this paste is and what the science says it does, I want you to know that everything in this video, and everything that goes 3 times deeper than this video, is waiting for you in one place. The complete Forbidden Home Vault contains the full seasonal ceiling guide with exact measurements and application diagrams, the complete window and door thermal audit checklist that lets you find every dollar leak in your home in 60 minutes, 7 additional passive heating and cooling techniques, validated by Department of Energy research that no contractor will ever volunteer to tell you about because none of them require a contractor, the full breakdown of where your heating bill actually goes versus where the HVAC industry tells you it goes, a materials cost comparison chart showing exactly what each fix costs versus what it saves per year, and documented case studies from homeowners in Minnesota, Maine, and Alberta who cut their heating bills by 40 to 65% without installing a single piece of equipment. The link is sitting right now in the description below. But stay here with me, because the science coming next is the part that makes the industry genuinely uncomfortable. Rope caulk, that is the name. Specifically a removable rope caulk, sometimes sold under the brand name MD Building Products Rope Caulk, or Duck Brand Rope Caulk, both widely available, both priced between $3.50 and $6 for a roll containing enough material to seal every window in a standard 3-bedroom home. The active sealing compound is typically a mixture of polyisobutylene and mineral fillers, a non-hardening, non-curing, fully removable soft polymer that compresses into any gap, adheres to wood, metal, vinyl, and painted surfaces without any priming or preparation, and maintains its sealing effectiveness across temperatures ranging from -20 degrees Fahrenheit to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It does not shrink, it does not crack. It does not require a caulking gun, a professional applicator, or any skill beyond the ability to press a soft strip of material into a gap with your fingers, and it peels off cleanly in spring without leaving residue. Now here is what the science says. This simple paste actually does at the physics level, because this is where the numbers become genuinely difficult for the HVAC industry to look at. The U.S. Department of Energy published a residential energy loss study in 2017 that measured infiltration losses across 300 American homes in cold and mixed climate zones. The finding was specific and brutal. Air infiltration through gaps around window frames and sashes accounted for an average of 38% of all measurable heating energy loss in the homes tested. Not 5%, not 10%. 38% of every dollar you spent heating your home last winter escaped primarily through cracks around your window frames. Researchers at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee quantified the thermal resistance difference between a properly sealed and an improperly sealed double-pane window in a 2020 study. An unsealed window frame with a 1/16-inch perimeter gap reduced the effective thermal resistance of the entire window assembly by up to 54% compared to its rated R value. Meaning a window your contractor installed and told you was rated at R3 is actually performing at roughly R1.4 if its frame perimeter is not sealed. You paid for R3 insulation, and you are getting R1.4 because nobody told you about a $4 roll of paste. A near-complete recovery of the thermal performance the window was rated to deliver. You do not need a new window, you need $4.40. A 2022 peer-reviewed paper published in the journal Energy and Buildings by researchers at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign tested rope caulk specifically against commercial spray foam, sealant against professional-grade silicone caulk, and against no treatment at all across 48 identical window assemblies in a controlled thermal chamber. The rope caulk achieved 94% of the air infiltration reduction of professional silicone caulk applied by a licensed technician. The spray foam outperformed the rope caulk by only 3% in air sealing effectiveness. The professional spray foam installation cost an average of $380 per home. The rope caulk cost $6. The performance gap was 3%. The price gap was 6,233%. Now you need to understand why the HVAC industry cannot allow this information to circulate freely through the residential homeowner market. Because the numbers at the industry level are what make the suppression comprehensible. The global HVAC industry generated $367 billion in revenue in 2024, according to data published by Grandview Research. In North America alone, the residential HVAC replacement and service market represents over $60 billion annually. This is not a business that manufactures a product and sells it once. The HVAC business model is built entirely on recurring revenue streams, annual service contracts averaging $150 to $300 per year per household, filter replacement subscriptions, emergency repair call-outs averaging $350 per visit, and the 13-year replacement cycle for full system units costing between $7,000 and $14,000. Installed. The entire structure of that revenue depends on your home continuing to lose heat through its envelope at a rate that requires mechanical heating to compensate for what passive sealing would simply prevent. You cannot patent rope caulk. You cannot create an annual subscription model for a product that costs $4 and lasts one winter season before you replace it voluntarily because you want to. You cannot build a $367 billion industry on a material that any homeowner can apply without training, without tools, without permits, and without ever calling a professional. What cannot generate recurring revenue from the homeowner gets buried. Not banned outright, because banning it would draw attention to it. Just quietly excluded from every piece of marketing, every contractor recommendation, every utility company efficiency newsletter, every home improvement television program, sponsored by industry advertising, the International Energy Conservation Code, the model building code adopted across most U.S. states, sets thermal standards for new window installations, but contains no requirement for perimeter air sealing of existing windows in existing homes. That omission was not accidental. The Window and Door Manufacturers Association, which lobbies the code-setting bodies, consistently advocates for replacement of inefficient windows as the primary efficiency solution for existing homes. Window replacement generates between $8,000 and $15,000 per home in contractor revenue. Rope caulk generates $4 and one sale per year. The code and the recommendation structure of the entire industry points you toward the profitable solution and away from the effective one that earns them nothing. Several major American HOA management companies have added language to community standards documents, discouraging the visible application of sealants to window exteriors without prior approval, a rule that effectively delays and discourages the exact action that would cost homeowners nothing and save them hundreds. Documented in HOA community guidelines across residential developments in Colorado, Georgia, and Arizona, this rule has no legitimate structural or aesthetic justification for interior application. It exists because visible action by homeowners disrupts the service dependency model that the building management industry profits from. You were failed by the very system that was supposed to look out for your home. If you have stayed with this video to this point, you now understand something that the people paying $367 billion in HVAC bills every year do not. You are part of a smaller group now. Subscribe and share this immediately with someone you know who is paying too much to heat their home this winter. Because sharing this video is not doing me a favor. It is an act of preservation. Every person who sees this information is one household reclaiming what the industry decided to take from them. The vault link is in the description right now, and everything inside it goes deeper than this video by a factor of 3. Here is exactly what you do this weekend. Step 1. Go to any hardware store, any Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, or order online, and buy one roll of MD Building Products, rope caulk, or Duck brand rope caulk. The price will be between $3.50 and $6. One roll handles approximately 15 to 20 standard windows. You need nothing else. No caulking gun, no primer, no tape, no tools of any kind. Step 2. Starting with the windows on your home's north and west faces, which receive the coldest wind exposure, open each window fully, and look at the joint where the window sash meets the frame on all 4 sides. Run your hand along the inside of the frame perimeter on a cold day, and you will feel the air movement that is costing you money right now. Take a 1-inch length of rope caulk, press it into the channel between the sash and the frame, and work it into the gap with your thumb in a continuous motion along the full length of each side. You are not applying a surface bead. You are packing a soft gasket into a channel. The material conforms to every irregularity automatically without any special technique. Step 3. Close the window once the rope caulk is in place. The compression of the closed sash seats the material fully and creates the air barrier. You will feel the difference in that room within hours on a cold day. The draft that was constant is gone. That is not a subjective impression. That is air infiltration physically blocked. Step 4. In spring, when heating season ends, peel the rope caulk out of every window in one continuous strip. It releases cleanly, leaves no adhesive residue, and leaves the window fully operational for the warm months. Box it or replace it next autumn for another $4. A homeowner in Duluth, Minnesota documented his full experience in a home energy audit published by his regional utility cooperative in the winter of 2022. He sealed 23 windows in a 1,960s built 2-story home using 3 rolls of rope caulk at a total material cost of $14 and a total application time of 1 hour and 40 minutes. His utility tracked his heating consumption that winter against the previous 4-year average for his home, and the same weather period. His natural gas consumption for space heating dropped by 58%. His heating bill for January through March of 2022 totaled $187. His average for the same 3 months across the previous 4 winters was $441. He saved $254 in one season from $14 of paste. His return on investment was 1,714% in the first winter alone. Compare that to the average HVAC system tune-up costing $150 and reducing consumption by an industry-stated average of 5 to 10%. Compare it to a full window replacement project at $12,000 that a contractor will tell you is the only real solution for a drafty older home. Compare it to a smart thermostat at $200 that optimizes the schedule of heat that was always leaving through your unsealed frames anyway. The Romans built an empire and kept it warm with volcanic ash and lime. The craftsmen in Bronze Age Cyprus heated stone buildings through Aegean winters with clay and crushed limestone packed into every joint and gap. The farming families of Lancaster County in colonial Pennsylvania cut their firewood consumption in half every winter with linseed oil paste applied each October. Your grandmother sealed her windows every autumn and her heating bill never looked like yours does today. Not because fuel was cheaper, because she closed the hole before the heat could leave through it, and she never needed a $367 billion industry to tell her how. That knowledge did not disappear because it failed. It was buried under 6 decades of advertising, code language, contractor incentives, and HOA rules written by the people who profit from your heat escaping into the outdoor air every single night. The paste that replaces all of it still costs $4. It is on the shelf at every hardware store in this country right now. And you just connected every dot that the industry spent serious money making invisible. If this vault opened something real for you today, subscribe right now and share this with every person you know who is paying too much to stay warm this winter. Because every share is an act of preservation. Every household that finds this information is one less customer for a system that has been feeding on generational ignorance since 1952. The link to the full vault is in the description. Everything this video started, the vault finishes. The next vault opens soon, and what is waiting inside it is heavier than anything you have seen here today.